Okay, question 2. How does the writer Alan Lee try to show that Jumbo was a much-loved Victorian sensation? You should comment on what he says in his use of language. So question 2, you're looking at 13 to 15 minutes, 5 to 10 quotes, and it's basically language analysis. Why has the writer done certain things? So why do we want a lot of quotes? Well, quotes equals marks, basically. So these two people here, 2 different examples of answers. The person on the left put 2 quotes and got 2 out of 10. The person on the right put 10 quotes, put 10 out of 10. So even though these 2 people were the same standard of English, both really good, just because the other person on the right knew what the exam wanted, this exam is all about quotes. When you're doing English literature, it might be a thing where you get a quote and talk about it for a page. With this exam, it's all about getting as many quotes as you can. So this question is all about explaining the quote you've picked out and what the words mean for the reader. So you need to zoom in on key words and think, why has the writer intentionally used this word? So for example, if I was talking about doing an extract about school and it said the teacher spoke to the student, the verb spoke is not going to tell me a lot. But if I said the teacher ranted at the student, it's going to tell me something different, isn't it? So pick as many 1 or 2 word quotes as you can for 13 to 15 minutes for a 10-mark question. Once your time is up on a question, move on. You must finish the exam. So again, look at the clock. You can't spend 25 minutes on one question. You've got to get to the end of the exam. Questions 5 and question 6 in particular are quite easy. And a lot of the average question, the question that most people get the worst mark on average in the UK is question 6. And it's got nothing to do with how hard the question is. It's just people just don't get to it. And you've got to make sure you get to it. You need to use a range of quotes from the beginning, middle, and end of the extract. So if you're doing an extract and you're just taking quotes from here, you would get marked down because you're not showing the examiner that you've read the whole extract. So we need to be doing something like this. It doesn't have to be literally one every paragraph, but even if you took one quote from towards the end of the extract and all the other stuff was quite early on, that's fine, but you've got to show the examiner you've read the whole thing. So this question, this is what I tell my students, and I think it's a big thing that will help you. You're almost being like a human dictionary or human thesaurus, where you're going to pick a word out and basically say what it means. So if I show you an example of that, the question we looked at in my lesson was, how does the writer show the man's injury? And the quote was, the man shattered his leg. So what we don't want for an answer is, this shows the man hurt his leg. That's not good enough. The writer could have put hurt his leg. He could have put damaged. He could have put injured. The writer has decided to use the word shattered. So think to yourself, if I was a human dictionary, what does the word shattered mean? Well, if we look it up in the thesaurus.com, it says broken into many small pieces, destroyed. 3 and 4 probably aren't going to be about mine because that's about being like mentally shattered. Okay, but physically shattered, broken into small pieces, or destroyed. So all I'm going to do now is put that into my answer. So I've got the writer shows the man's injury with the quote, he shattered his leg. Shattered tells me the man has destroyed and broken his leg into many pieces. So literally what the definition or what it says in the thesaurus, I'm going to put that into my answer. So my blue is my question, my sentence starter, which I should always do to keep focus to the question. Always have the sentence starter as a question. The green is a quote, and my yellow is explaining what that shows about the man's injury. Another one, how does the writer try to show that the man was living in extremely tough conditions? The quote was, I slept on a concrete slab topped with a thin mattress. Okay, so you're basically explaining why that would be tough for someone. Again, concrete, be a human dictionary, human thesaurus. What does it mean? Well, it basically says a very hard building material made of sand and stone. So again, I'm going to put that into my answer. The writer shows the tough conditions with the man sleeping on a concrete slab. This tells the reader his bed was made of stone and must have been very uncomfortable. Again, blue is my question, green is my quote, and my yellow is my definition. Okay, so I got my students, really, I got them to do this thing where we were looking at an extract and we had 3 steps. We did, first of all, they looked it up in the dictionary, what the definition was on a highlighted word. Then I got them to do it in their definition based on a highlighted word. And then the third one I got them to do was they used their own definition of their chosen word. So for a question, if it was, how does the writer show his girlfriend was wealthy? Her family had a mansion since the day she was born. Again, what does the word, it could have said house. Why has the writer decided to use mansion? Well, the writer shows his girlfriend was wealthy with the word mansion. What's the definition of a mansion? This tells the reader she lives in a very large, impressive house. Again, this time the students wrote their own definition without looking at the dictionary based on the chosen word. How does the writer use language to describe the house he visits? It took him hours to find the house. It was abandoned. So they zoomed into the word abandoned because that's the word that stands out. And they put the writer uses the word abandoned to describe the house. This suggests it's been deserted. Okay, so again, definition, synonyms. Okay, so our question about the elephant was, how does the writer Alan Lee try to show that Jumbo was a much-loved Victorian sensation? Okay, so you're zooming in there to the topic of the question is, how is the elephant shown to be really loved and a sensation, so like an amazing thing of the day? Again, read through the extract if you want to. It should be in the description. Okay, so and that's what you should be looking for to write. The writer shows Jumbo was much loved with the quote. Give me the quote, and again, be that human dictionary and tell me what those words mean that you've picked out. Okay, so the quote. So like I said, have a read. If you don't want to have a read, I'll just tell you the quotes I picked out. So these are the quotes that I picked out for Jumbo being a much loved Victorian sensation. He's described as the greatest animal celebrity, outshone the biggest names. The elephant drew millions of visitors. Much love, later even inspired Walt Disney's classic cartoon Dumbo. Jumbo became an instant hit, attracting crowds of awestruck Victorians who came to marvel. Among those who said to have adored Jumbo were Queen Victoria's children. America offered £2,000 for Jumbo, an enormous sum at the time. There was an outcry. 100,000 children wrote to Queen Victoria begging her. So those are the quotes that I've picked out. There would have been more. Depending on time, I'm probably going to try to do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 quotes. Again, doing 6 or 7 quotes with small explanations is much better in this exam than doing 2 quotes with a huge explanation. Okay, so again, I'm going to be that human dictionary and pick out certain words and say what they mean. And the first quote I'm going to pick out is greatest animal celebrity. In theory, you could talk about two parts of this sentence, really, the ones I've highlighted. So why does that quote tell me that Jumbo is a much-loved Victorian sensation? Well, okay, so let's pick out greatest. So what does greatest mean? It means that Jumbo's been described as the highest, the maximum, the supreme, the top, the leading. Okay, so they're saying he's the leading animal celebrity, the best animal celebrity. And again, what does celebrity mean? Well, it means basically being widely known and widely honoured, a widely known person, in this case, a widely loved animal. Okay, so I'm going to put that into my answer. The writer shows Jumbo was much loved with the quote, greatest animal celebrity. This tells the reader Jumbo was widely known and was seen as the best of all the famous animals. So again, in my blue, I've got my definition of the word greatest, definition of the word celebrity. And again, yellow is my question, green is my quote, and blue is my explanation of why that quote proves Jumbo was much loved. Okay, another one, an instant hit, attracting crowds of awestruck Victorians who came to marvel. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in on instant hit. If someone said to you, what does the word or phrase instant hit mean? You might say widely seen, big selling. Again, this is another quote where we could zoom into 2 things. If you're awestruck, what does that mean? Yeah, means you're amazed, astonished, or stunned, astounded by something. Okay, in this quote as well, we could probably even zoom in into marvel, but I'll let you do that one. So my answer is, the writer shows Jumbo is much loved with the quote, instant hit, attracting crowds of awestruck Victorians. Instant hit tells the reader that Jumbo became very famous very quickly. Now I'm going to zoom into awestruck. Awestruck shows he was well loved as the crowd were astonished by him. So again, yellow is my question, green is my quote, blue is my explanation or definition. Okay, another one. There was an outcry. 100,000 children wrote to Queen Victoria begging her. Again, so why is the writer bothered to use outcry? What does it mean? Well, it almost means like a protest or commotion because people are not happy about something. Again, we could zoom into the word begging. Could have said they wrote to Queen Victoria asking her, but they've put begging. Why the writer bothered to do that? Well, again, you're asking to do someone, but in a really sort of desperate, almost urgent way. So here's my answer. The writer shows Jumbo was much loved with the quote, outcry. 100,000 children wrote to Queen Victoria begging her. Outcry tells the reader that people were unhappy and almost protesting that Jumbo was going to leave London. A huge amount of children, 100,000, begging her, were urgently asking the Queen to stop Jumbo going to America. Okay, so there they all are. Okay, and I've got one more to add that I didn't zoom in on in red. The quote was, "The elephant drew millions of visitors." Like, this is a dead easy one, isn't it? You could even argue you probably wouldn't have to explain too much. You could just put for this one another quote that shows he's much loved is that he drew millions of visitors. That would get you a mark. I've put the writer shows jumper was much loved with the quote, "The elephant drew millions of visitors." This shows that an enormous amount of people came to watch him perform. So again, look at this screen. Yellow is my question, green is my quote, blue is my explanation. Keep focused on the question. And I've done 6 quotes there, but I could easily have done more. Okay.